The only time when a man should raise his hand against a woman is when he's expressing love. But in Zimbabwe today, when a man raises his hand against a woman, you expect screams, you even expect a funeral. Good evening, I'm Catherine Munyuki and welcome to Vantage. Tonight on the program, we have in the studio Assistant Commissioner Paul Nyathi, the Police National Spokesperson. Ascom Nyathi, welcome to Vantage.
Thank you, Catherine.
Ascom, we have just been remembering the men and women, brothers and sisters, who put their bodies on the line for Zimbabwe to be free. The Heroes' Holiday. But this Heroes' Holiday, unfortunately, there have been others who have not been able to commemorate this with the rest of the country because of funerals, accidents on the road. I would like to take you to the staggering statistics that you reviewed last week about the road accidents in the first 6 months of the year, as well as the worrying hit-and-run incidents. Why are we seeing an upsurge in this?
Thank you very much, Guthrie. First and foremost, as the police, we have observed with concern the deterioration in the driving standards in our country. The recklessness which you see on the road, where drivers are no longer respecting road rules and regulations, which has resulted in the increase in hit-and-run accidents, as alluded to in your opening remarks. Just imagine, from January to June 2022, we have recorded 2,480 hit-and-run accidents, where drivers have either killed somebody or injured somebody. They have not bothered to stop. They have not bothered to report to the police. Yet, in terms of the Road Traffic Act, in terms of the road rules and regulations, when a motorist, when a driver is involved in an accident, they are required in terms of the law, one, to stop. Secondly, render assistance to the injured. Where somebody has died, report to the police and allow the due processes of the law to be followed. But some of the drivers whom we have in the country, they are not doing so. And the drivers are licensed to be responsible on the road. Drivers are licensed to promote road safety. They are not licensed to kill or injure people on the road. So it's really sad, Guthrie. Then you also have the volume of traffic which has increased on the current roads, on the country's roads. Where you find that the volume of traffic is currently not matching with the state of infrastructure. We are happy as the police that the government has embarked on an emergency road rehabilitation program. But this process is a long process. And as the process is ongoing, we also call upon motorists, drivers to change their attitude, to be patient, to avoid speeding situations which are not safe to do so. It's really sad to take note that the build-up to the Heroes and Defence Force holiday has not been good, where you find that we have had 6 people who died in Nyanga. These were farmers who were bringing their produce to Harare during the night, and the haulage truck went out of the road and they died. Some were injured. We also had 6 people who died along the Masvingo Bed Bridge Highway when the Range Rover collided with a rigid truck. We also had 4 people who died along Mufure Road, Masvingo Bed Bridge, when a bus, a grader and a truck, again they had a collision. And only on the 6th of August, just the build up to the Heroes' Holiday, we had a family which was coming from a funeral in Masvingo, who had had a collision with the haulage truck. 5 people perished. One person he died. One person was injured and is currently admitted in hospital. So what it shows, Guthrie, it shows that we need a total mindset, a total change of mindset, and a positive attitude by drivers on the country's roads, so that we can tame this jungle, this carnage which we are currently experiencing.
I would like to take you back, Ascom Nyathi, the issue of hit and run accidents. is this a case of people being afraid to interact and seek the intervention of the police whenever they're involved in such accidents? Because an accident is never something that you can actually plan when you're at home, say that I'm going to be involved in an accident. Why are people running away? Have you sought to understand why people are running away?
Certainly, Catherine. You know, there are several factors. One of them which include the people be driving defective vehicles. Some drivers will not be having licenses, so they don't want to be exposed. And then you also have the issue of speeding, the issue of incitement, the issue of people driving under the influence of alcohol, where they again, you know, that when the due process of the law are followed, certainly licenses will be cancelled. So there are several factors, and we just want to appeal to drivers, appealing to motorists. Let us be, human conscious. Let us be conscious of the fact that human life is sacrosanct. No one has the right to just hit somebody, kill that person, or injure that person and run away. Tomorrow it could be you.
Tomorrow it could be you. I would like to put you on the spot, Ascom, unfortunately. One of the things that people have actually blamed the increasing accidents and also the hit and run accidents, particularly at night, is the issue of people driving under the influence. Have you now acquired breathalyzers to be able to deal with this menace of drunken drivers?
Some breathalyzers were acquired by the government recently. They are not enough. They are just limited in number. And this also includes some which were donated by the Insurance Council of Zimbabwe to the Zimbabwe Public Police. Again, this is just a drop in the ocean. We really need, adequate stocks of breathalyzer machines so that all the country's major roads and also all the feeder roads, we can have a situation whereby every motorist who is suspected of driving under the influence of alcohol is accounted for.
Thank you. You don't need to drive under the influence. Here, we don't speak with the guests under the influence. We'll be back. You are watching Vantage. Please don't go away. Welcome back. If you are just joining us, we have in the studio tonight National Police Spokesperson Assistant Commissioner Paul Nyathi. Ascom, before we went for the break, we were talking about the worrying surge in road traffic accidents as well as the hit and run. We also spoke about the issue of breathalyzers. I would like to go back to that point quickly. People, they're saying that you don't need to have enough stocks of breathalyzers to send the message that you are actually acting on this. Do you have any cases where you have had to use breathalyzers, even if there are very few, to say we are sending a message to drunken drivers who are causing accidents on the roads?
Guthrie, one issue which I also want to highlight to the public is that some of these breathalyzer machines, they came into the country last month, some in June, and our officers, they are currently being trained. Yes, we have arrested people who are driving under the influence of alcohol. Some of the cases are before the courts. And as we unpack the first half of the year 2022, we are also going to reveal some of these drivers. We are going to name and shame. Certainly, we are going to name and shame some of the drivers who have been arrested for driving under the influence of alcohol. So definitely, drivers should watch out.
Ascom, crimes of passion. People are worried that there is an increase of people who are being murdered, people are being slain, particularly where guns are involved, where relations would have gone sour. How are you tackling this problem?
Guthrie, you have raised a very important question, a very important issue in our society, where currently the issue which is trending is the issue which happened in Harare only 2 weeks ago, where a 29-year-old man carelessly shot and killed his 28-year-old girlfriend after a dispute. So we are concerned. Just for instance, from January to June 2022, we've recorded 12 cases of crimes of passion. These are murder cases where we have had 11 women being shot dead by their partners. And we have had one case of a woman who shot dead a partner. And compared to the same period last year, we had again 12 cases. This is just the first 6 months of the year. We have not yet completed the year. We are halfway through the year. This is a sad gathering. And we have realized that some of these perpetrators, some of these suspects, they are people who are legally licensed to own firearms. They are misusing firearms to settle scores. Some of them are even hiring firearms to settle scores. And we have had, some of these suspects, some of these killers, even going to an extent of, criminally obtaining a firearm just because you want to settle a score with your wife or with your girlfriend or with your boyfriend. This is sad, really. What has become of society? So what it shows, besides the arrest, besides awareness campaigns being conducted by the police, the church, traditional leaders, the whole society, in fact, should come on board and self-introspect on how we are conducting relationships. It is not good to take firearms and then use them as a weapon of settling love or marital disputes.
ASCOM, people then ask, do we now have a black market of guns? Because you are saying that some other people, they actually go and even hire the guns. In your investigations, have you been able to establish if we now have a thriving black market of guns?
We cannot rule out that possibility, Guthrie. Why? Because at the country's points of entry and exit, we've arrested people who were trying to bring in some pistols, some firearms. Like, for instance, 2 months ago, we arrested a 28-year-old man at Bedbridge who was trying to bring in a pistol after he had committed a robbery and made a case in South Africa, killing a couple, and he was now running away. And we fortunately arrested him at the border, and we discovered that he was smuggling a weapon into the country. And last week, we again arrested some Zimbabweans and some foreign nationals in Plumtree who were in the process of smuggling weapons into the country. Just imagine. So what it shows that there are people out there who might be in possession of firearms which were not legally brought into the country, firearms which were smuggled into the country. Then you also have people who are licensed to own firearms. They are not properly securing their firearms. The firearms are falling into wrong hands, and then they are misused. And the misuse include committing robbery cases. It include killing their partners when they have disputes. We also have had people who are licensed to own firearms, Guthrie, who go to a safe station to access fuel. Then they have disputes with other motorists. Somebody just takes out a firearm and starts to fire or to threaten other motorists. That's misuse of firearms. We also have people who carry firearms into shopping centers for no reason at all. You are licensed to own a firearm for a particular reason, but we have had cases of several firearms being stolen while leased, after being left in vehicles by their owners. So definitely there are various reasons which are contributing to the gun crimes which we are experiencing as a country now.
I'll take you back to the November 2017 coup. A lot of people, they've opined that they might not have been a proper accounting of guns, because after that we have seen a spike in cases involving armed robberies, especially the firearms. As police, do you have a register of the licensed guns that are in the hands of the private citizens in this country?
Certainly, Guthrie. We have a database of all firearm owners in the country, and these firearms include, these firearm owners include individuals, they include companies and the various institutions. So we can easily trace, we can easily monitor. But of course, as alluded to earlier, we have some firearms which are not in the system because they were not captured or they were illegally brought into the country. As a result, starting from today,
in fact, Ascom, I'd like you to pause there so that you tell us in full when we come back.
Okay.
You are watching Vantage. We are with the National Police spokesperson, Assistant Paul Nyathi, in the studio tonight. Please don't go away. We'll be back. Welcome back to the final segment of this week's Vantage. If you're just joining us in this last segment, we have National Police spokesperson, Assistant Paul Nyathi. We have been dealing with a lot of issues ranging from the rising crimes of passion, hit and run accidents, general road traffic accidents, and of course, the gun crime menace. Ascom, the gun crime menace. You were saying something before we went for the break, and that said we'll come back to it. What is that you wanted to say starting from today?
Starting from this week, Guthrie, that is from the 8th of August up to 30th September 2022, His Excellency the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, President Edi Mnangagwa, has issued a general firearms amnesty. And this general firearms amnesty entails that members of the public, those who are in possession of firearms which are not registered, have been given this period, this leeway to voluntarily surrender all firearms, any firearm in one's possession, to any nearest police station where they will not face any criminal charges. No one will be prosecuted. And in fact, on approaching the police station, they will be issued with an issue voucher or a safe custody receipt to confirm that they've handed over a particular weapon, a particular firearm to the police, and the serial number will be captured. So this is an appeal to the public. And you know why this amnesty has been given. Firstly, Zimbabwe is part of the SADC community, and Article 12 of the SADC Protocol on Firearms Control and Ammunition and Other Materials entails that countries must monitor how firearms are being kept, are being secured, how firearm movements in their country, are being tackled. So this is part of the process. And also, we've realized that there are people who are in possession of firearms, but the reasons for the possession has ceased. Like, for example, some farmers, they are no longer involved in farming. Some companies, they ceased the operations, but they have not surrendered firearms. We also have people who were part of some gun clubs, sporting gun clubs. The clubs have ceased. They are no longer supposed to be on those firearms. We have had family members who passed on. And some families have not surrendered firearms, yet the Firearms Act Chapter 10.09 is very clear. Once a particular person, a particular relative who was legally authorized, legally licensed to own a firearm is passed on, the family is supposed to surrender the firearms to the police in terms of the law so that the due process of the law can be followed. So you will find that these are some of the reasons which have contributed to the country recording some of these violent crimes where some firearms are being used.
So are you confident that the amnesty by the president would help mitigate the increasing crimes of firearms?
Certainly, Guthrie. Because after this period, the police will now check with the physical record, with the database which we have on those who have surrendered firearms. And we are going to be, verifying with all licensed firearm owners on the status of the firearms which they are in possession of. And we have realized that some of these firearm owners, they have changed residential addresses, but they have not updated their records with the police. Some business premises have also changed, but the owners have not updated their records with the police. So it's a process which was long overdue. So we want to applaud His Excellency President Idi Mnangagwa for extending this amnesty to Zimbabweans. And I want to urge Zimbabweans to gracefully embrace this amnesty, because no one is going to be charged. But after 3rd September, certainly we will prosecute those who be found to be in possession of unregistered or illegal weapons. And this amnesty also covers those who have got arms which were smuggled into the country, or those arms which were brought illegally into the country. So certainly the public is encouraged to cooperate.
ASCOM, what are the processes involved in if someone wants to get a license, to get license to have a gun at their premises, or to have a gun at their offices? Do you have psychiatrists who then examine the state of the person who is applying? What happens? How are the processes involved here?
Guthrie, have raised something which is very important for the benefit of viewers. You know, the process now includes the mental capacity of the person. We now need verifications. We now need psychologists to clearly state that this person has got the requisite mental capacity to possess, to own a firearm legally. Because we have realized that there are people who are misusing these firearms, yet they are not supposed to be in possession of firearms. We also realize that there are people who have got changed circumstances, and these circumstances warrant that before one is licensed, before one renews a firearm license, their mental capacity has to be reviewed. So certainly. And also, there are certain requirements which one has to meet if a person is to be allowed to possess a firearm. And these processes, they include a secure place. They include a valid reason. Are you a farmer? And if you're a farmer, is your farming a business viable? Are you a miner? Are you a company? Including security companies, they are also vetted. Remember, we've had some security guards who have had firearms taken away by robbers, especially during case-in-transit activities at Newlands Shopping Center in Harare, in Bulawayo, along Lobengula and 13th Avenue last week, where US 100,000 and 500,000 rands were taken. So definitely, there is need for the firearm stock of a country. There is need for people who are licensed to own firearms to be checked and verify whether one still needs that firearm or not. So this operation was long overdue.
Great. I would like to move on, ASCOM, the issues of, resolving some of the most difficult homicide cases. How equipped are your crime labs at the moment?
Guthrie, we want to thank the government and its cooperating partners. We include the United Nations, we include the EU, the government of Japan, and others who have assisted in the equipping of the police laboratory. We now have a fully fledged police cyber lab, where we also have our staff, being trained. Some of them have acquired the requisite expertise, which is now assisting us to solve some of the homicide cases which we are recording, to solve some of the even rape cases. So definitely, of course, it's work in progress. Why? Because technology is changing on a daily basis. But I want to applaud the various stakeholders who have assisted the Zimbabwe Public Police to set up a fully fledged forensic and a cyber lab.
Thank you very much, ASCOM. And on that note, I would like to thank you for having made time to be with us again on Vantage.
You're
we
welcome.
Really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Viewers, Zimbabwe is for Zimbabweans. Zimbabweans need to love each other because they are defined by the name Zimbabwe. The idea of killing is bringing a lot of sorry sides to many families. I am Catherine Nyathi.